During his exploration, a man encountered a bizarre scene. He discovered a mysterious space-time tunnel, and figures frozen within it were faintly visible. The man tentatively greeted the figure, but received no response. Driven by curiosity, Hopper cautiously entered the cave. Yet, strange events occurred once again. Little did he know, this was the legendary time trap. At that moment, the dog outside the cave seemed to sense unease and began barking incessantly. Seeking the truth, Hopper mustered his courage and passed through the shimmering barrier, only to witness an even more bizarre sight. The girl's scream alerts Hopper to danger. In the process of turning to flee, he trips over a stone. Yet when he returns to the cave entrance, the scene leaves him utterly stunned. He had only been inside for minutes, yet outside, day had turned to night, and even his dog was gone. More bizarrely, the van parked outside the cave entrance was now rusted, covered in vines as if abandoned for decades, and the engine wouldn't start at all. In despair, he spotted a Jeep nearby and immediately approached it to explain his situation, identifying himself as Hopper from the University Archaeology Department. However, there was no response from inside the vehicle. Hopper opened the door and found a backpack, and upon closer inspection realized it belonged to the student Jackie, instantly sensing something terrible had happened. His students had likely come searching for him. To rescue the students, Hopper decides to re-enter the cave. This time, he takes out glow sticks and throws them on the ground as markers. Unexpectedly, the glow stick lifted off the ground, hovering in the air, and slowly drifted deeper into the cave. Soon after, the glow stick suddenly fell, and the cave entrance behind him began to shimmer with an eerie light once more. This time, Hopper didn't hesitate and resolutely strode deeper into the cave. Events unfolded just as he anticipated. Students Jackie, Taylor, and others carrying gear had followed him shortly after he left. At the cave entrance, they discovered the expedition vehicle left by Professor Hopper's parents. Immediately, Taylor retrieved a yellowed family photograph from the vehicle, realizing that the professor's journey was not merely an adventure, but a quest to find his missing relatives. Just as they noticed a rope on the ground, a thrilling adventure had already begun. After entering the cave, they followed the rope to a cliff edge. The frayed end silently spoke of danger, making everyone worry about Hopper's safety. After discussion, the timid Furby stayed behind at the entrance while the others decided to enter and search. Little did they know this decision would become a turning point in their fate. As they rappelled down, an invisible force silently enveloped them. Like Hopper, they encountered an air barrier, but the group pressed on regardless. After landing, they planned to split up. However, sudden eerie sounds shattered the silence. The girls grew fearful and wanted to abandon the search, but Taylor refused to give up. Jackie, desperate to leave immediately, insisted on climbing the rope. But as she tried, the rope secured at the top suddenly snapped. Seeing the broken rope, Taylor instantly realized someone had tampered with it above. And with only Furby at the entrance, they urgently called out but got no response, making Taylor suspect Furby's mischief, though her friend Vives firmly believed he wouldn't do it. As they argued, Furby's faint cries for help came over the radio, but the sound seemed to come from deep within the cave. Taylor decided to investigate further. The injured Jackie could only stay behind and wait. They navigated rugged tunnels and saw light ahead. Arriving at a vertical shaft, they saw flickering light outside. Kara, skilled at climbing, scaled the rocks to look. She saw the rope at the entrance was also broken. The moment she looked down, her face changed dramatically, and she urged her sister Vives to leave immediately. Seeing Kara in tears, Taylor felt a surge of dread. Approaching, she discovered Furby's body, horribly disfigured from the fall. Facing successive accidents, Taylor stared at the broken rope in her hand, realizing there might be others in the cave. To uncover the truth, they found Furby's camera, and the video he recorded finally revealed the hidden secret. Since they entered the cave, time outside had been silently flowing away. During this, Furby not only found Hopper's Jeep and ropes, but also discovered a medieval logbook on an abandoned bus, detailing how the Spanish Empress sent an expedition to find the Fountain of Youth cave to save her husband, only to be attacked by natives and vanish mysteriously. At night, Furby found Hopper's father's journal in the van, learning that Hopper's parents had also sought the Fountain of Youth to cure their sick daughter, ultimately disappearing without a trace. Furby endured days of torment at the entrance. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. He ran out of supplies, and the 4 deep inside showed no sign, forcing him to accept the grim reality that his friends might be lost. Seeing the manual transmission Jeep he couldn't drive, walking hundreds of kilometers was impossible. This timid young man, desperate for survival, finally mustered the courage to descend and search for Hopper's car keys. Just as Furby began rappelling down, the entrance light flickered wildly without warning. Before he could grasp the situation, the rope suddenly snapped, causing him to plummet into the abyss. The horrifying images in the footage made everyone quickly turn off the device, unable to bear watching. But an even more perplexing question arose. They had only been in the cave for about 10 minutes, yet Furby claimed 5 days had passed. What had happened to the world outside? Desperate to escape, but with the rope broken, they pinned their hopes on Kara, the skilled climber. However, when Kara peered out of the cave entrance, the sight completely overturned her understanding. Outside the cave, all vegetation had vanished, replaced by a barren wasteland. A foul stench filled the air as Kara tried the satellite phone, unaware that humanity no longer existed on Earth, and any attempt to find a signal was hopeless. Then, a sudden sandstorm swept in. The persistent Kara climbed higher for a signal, but as she raised the phone, a horrifying sight met her eyes. Mysterious triangular structures floated in the starry sky, and the moon appeared unnervingly close. Kara wasted no time, quickly returning inside to tell her companions everything. At first, no one believed her, as only seconds had passed inside. But when Kara showed the recorded footage as proof, they finally accepted the truth. Analyzing, they understood. Time outside flowed much faster than inside. The flickering light at the entrance represented the passage of day and night, and the rope broke because the part outside had aged. Jackie recalled the Fountain of Youth legend, speculating this place could halt time and prolong youth, but with the rope broken, only Kara could climb out. The others were trapped. As everyone worried, Taylor noticed a new clue. Furby's radio was broken, yet it worked when he called for help. Puzzled, they continued watching the footage. However, a horrific scene unfolded as it turned out that Furby did not die instantly from the fall. While he was calling for help, a pair of enormous feet suddenly intruded into the frame, and without mercy, the figure crushed Furby with a rock. This meant others and unknown dangers lurked deep in the cave, hostile to outsiders. Even more astonishingly, when Vives analyzed Furby's footage frame by frame, the bizarre light shifts completely changed their perception of time. What they mistook for day-night flickering was actually the Earth's orbit around the sun. Each flicker represented a year passing. At this suffocating time flow rate, countless millennia had passed outside. The survival of human civilization became an enigma. Kara's hand gripping the rock wall trembled slightly. Her flickering hope for survival shattered instantly. Just as despair loomed over everyone, a ghostly blue light sliced through the darkness of the cave, and a metal rod suddenly branched out into a staircase leading upwards. Then, an 8-foot-tall future spaceman descended the telescoping ladder. This colossal figure radiated an aura of mystery. It was impossible to tell if it was friend or foe. The tense atmosphere shattered with a sudden roar. A shaggy caveman burst from the shadows, lunging at the futureman. Astonishingly, the futureman effortlessly subdued the caveman with an arm device. After neutralizing the threat, the futureman turned his gaze toward the expedition team. In the midst of their language barrier, Taylor decisively waved for everyone to retreat, unaware that he was stepping deeper into danger. While fleeing, Vives saw something shocking. A corpse with a perfectly preserved face, identical to Hopper's mother who vanished 40 years ago. The skin was warm, untouched by time, yet 40 years had passed outside the cave. Just as everyone was reeling from the time paradox, a clattering of metal echoed from afar. They looked towards the sound. Several cavemen surrounded a body, fighting over scattered gear nearby. Taylor's pupils constricted, recalling Furby's fate, realizing these cavemen might be the killers. He lowered his voice to signal his companions to evacuate, but inadvertently alarmed a vigilant caveman. In a life-or-death moment, Taylor pushed the girls toward a fork in the cave while he turned to face them alone. Outnumbered, he was quickly overwhelmed by the cavemen. The sound of rocks crushing his skull ended the lopsided fight. After the cavemen left and Kara's group returned, they found only Taylor's body growing cold in a pool of blood. As Kara sobbed, the futureman reappeared. It walked straight to the water pool, scanned the water with its arm device, then bent to collect some. Kara's crying made the futureman pause. It returned, ignored Kara's protests, and submerged Taylor's body in the water. Seeing this, Kara was panic-stricken, but to her surprise, the futureman began to make a series of calming gestures. Meanwhile, the cavemen returned with torches, trying to drive out the intruders. Calmly, the futureman threw a punch, sending the nearest caveman flying meters away. Simultaneously, Taylor's consciousness awoke from darkness. He was astonished to find himself unharmed in the water pool. Before he could process this, roars once again tore through the cave's silence. Watching the chaotic fight between cavemen and the futuremen, Taylor instinctively wanted to flee, but saw the futureman's faceplate torn off in the struggle. Exposed to air, it gasped painfully, body convulsing. At a critical moment, the future man activated the high-tech device on his arm, and the ground erupted in blue light, ensnaring two cavemen tightly. Exhausted, the future man breathed weakly and collapsed to the ground. Taylor finally realized that this mysterious being had been protecting them all along. Without hesitation, he picked up the faceplate and tried to put it back on the futureman, but the oxygen inside its suit had already leaked out completely, and its vital signs were rapidly fading. Kara hurried to the futureman's side, urgently asking about the time outside. In his final moments, the futureman scanned their faces with his mechanical arm. Aside from a few missing person notices issued by their families, the database contained no other traces of their existence. Pressed, the futureman struggled to activate a projector. An image of human civilization's migration unfolded in the cave. Since they entered the cave, millennia had passed outside. Earth's ecology deteriorated, oxygen plummeted, and to survive, humans migrated to Mars on triangular ships, planning to return when Earth recovered. The harsh reality was now evident. Even if they managed to return to the surface, their loved ones and friends would have long since passed. As they drowned in despair, Jackie's cry drew their attention. Taylor hurried over and found a familiar backpack. It belonged to Professor Hopper. This discovery rekindled his hope. Taylor firmly believed Hopper might still be alive, and he resolved to search deeper. Kara strongly advised against it, insisting finding an exit was urgent. But remembering his original purpose, Taylor picked up an old pistol found near the body and resolutely headed deeper. Upon reaching a winding junction in the cave, Taylor noticed glowing sticks on the ground, clearly markers left by Hopper. Following the faint glow, he turned a corner and saw an unexpected scene. A small caveman carefully approached its mother, holding a leather water pouch. Nearby, several caveman corpses lay scattered on the ground, but Taylor didn't have time to think and bypassed the small caveman. Finally, around a hidden corner in the cave, he found Hopper lying on the ground. Yet no matter how Taylor called, Hopper only stared blankly ahead. Following Hopper's gaze, Taylor saw a shimmering blue barrier appear. Behind the barrier, a caveman chased a little girl. Hopper explained in a hoarse voice that it was his sister, and time inside the barrier flowed slower than outside, making the scene appear nearly frozen. Even more astonishing was the raging medieval battle unfolding in the open canyon behind the barrier, where armored soldiers fought fiercely against the cavemen. This army was likely the Spanish Empress's expedition seeking the Fountain of Youth millennia ago. Within the canyon, the battle seemed like it had just begun. Time had lost all meaning in this mysterious cave. Anxious, Taylor wanted to rush into the barrier to rescue Hopper's trapped sister, but was immediately stopped by Hopper. Hopper knew if Taylor entered, external time would rush by. Mere moments could mean centuries passing. The situation was critical. Hopper, clinging to his last strength, signaled them to flee this perilous place immediately. Taylor couldn't abandon Hopper. He crouched to help him up, noticing blood seeping from a wound piercing Hopper's chest. Hopper was too weak to even sit up, let alone escape with them. Then, rustling sounds came from afar. Cavemen, revived by the girl using the fountain's water, slowly opened blood-red eyes. Their low growls heralded impending violence. At the critical moment, Hopper took Taylor's pistol, clearly intending to sacrifice himself to buy time. Taylor knew time was short. Without hesitation, he turned and sprinted towards the fountain's cave, planning to get the water and return for Hopper. But misfortune struck again. Taylor hadn't run far when roars erupted behind him. The awakened cavemen charged at Hopper. Despite agonizing pain, Hopper raised the pistol, but his body trembled uncontrollably from blood loss. Helpless, he used his last ounce of strength, shouting for Taylor and the others to run. Gunshots echoed through the cavern. Taylor's group paled and fled back the way they came. Reaching the area below the entrance shaft, they found the once rhythmically alternating white light now frozen into an eerie green glow, as if time had stopped. Though thoroughly puzzled, the approaching footsteps of the cavemen grew closer. Taylor quickly activated the future man's leftover high-tech ladder, and they began to climb upwards. Just as they neared the top, Kara saw with horror that the exit was sealed by glowing green liquid. Seeing the cavemen almost upon them below, she bravely thrust her hand into the liquid. Instantly, a powerful force pulled her in, flipping her upside down, but Taylor reacted quickly, grabbing her hand. In the chaos, the caveman leader was drawn to the flashing buttons on the ladder and reached out to touch them, causing the ladder to lose its balance, and Taylor and the others fell rapidly. Pulled into the deep pool, Kara struggled. Near suffocation, a giant hand reached from behind, placing an oxygen mask on her face. Miraculously, within Kara's eyes, Taylor's movements beneath the water seemed frozen in time. Moments later, 3 glowing blue tendrils emerged from the water, swiftly wrapping around Taylor's group. Before they reacted, they were suspended mid-air. The cavemen below gaped in shock. Suddenly filled with strange power, Kara used it to pull everyone up. Then, 4 more electronic tentacles probed the cave, ignoring the cavemen below, searching urgently. The scene shifted. Furby awoke in water, surrounded by strange, high-tech surroundings. Looking out the window at the receding Earth, he was bewildered. At that moment, 2 giant figures materialized outside the door. Before Furby could process this, Hopper emerged from the water as well. Immediately afterwards, Taylor and the others dressed in uniforms appeared in the room. Even more astonishingly, under the influence of the healing water, Hopper's parents and sister were all brought back to life. Seeing his parents looking younger than him, Hopper was filled with shock and joy. Taylor walked over, patted his shoulder, indicating their situation was complex and needed discussion. Furby, confused, asked where they were. Kara smiled reassuringly, saying while it wasn't familiar, Earth. Thankfully, they were all together. After brief joy, they understood. Next, they would journey to humanity's new home, Mars, to continue their story on the unknown red planet. The film ends here. Time Trap is another mind-bending cave exploration, weaving a philosophical web about time. The film's brilliance lies in using time differentials to create survival dilemmas. While the protagonists struggle to escape inside, the outside world has endured ecological collapse and civilization's migration. As Hopper gazed at his young parents revived by the healing water, and Kara reflected on the stagnant war through the lens of future technology, the absurdity of the situation concealed a profound inquiry about life. Is immortality a blessing? Who, entangled in eternity, the cavemen or the wandering humans adrift in the currents of time, truly possesses freedom? This time-spanning adventure is essentially a survival prophecy for those trapped in time. Interested viewers can watch the original film, Time Trap. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. More exciting films await in the next episode.